such an honor to have her here alongside Coach Marguerite Aosaza from our women's soccer program and special guest Akari, so, the true star of the show. And Coach Aosaza led our women's soccer team to our second national championship in 2022, and also started her career as 38 wins, 4 ties, and 2 losses in her first 2 years, which is insane. I think the first rookie head coach to ever win a natty. So proud of these role models and excited to get into some conversation about NIL. So I will kick it off with 2 questions before I let the crowd ask some as well, but super basic, what everyone thinks about when it comes to NIL is how has it impacted the recruiting game for you?
Okay. So, women's soccer, is this on? Okay. So women's soccer is in kind of playing catch up a little bit compared to the footballs and basketballs of the world, but what we're starting to see is that NIL is becoming a huge piece of what we do. I think the beautiful thing about being at a place like UCLA, being in a city like Los Angeles, is that we have something to offer that a lot of schools don't have, which is just exposure, kind of the glitz and glamours of being in LA, being close to the industry, everything like that. And so that is a huge part of what we promote as part of being here. One of the great benefits of being here is our ability to give our student athletes the platform to really delve into the NIL space.
Yeah, agreed. It's LA, right? And I think when I was in school here a long, long time ago, and during that time, we weren't allowed to, if we were on full scholarship, you can't have a job even. So there's no extra outside income that you can generate in any way. My senior year, which was in, I guess, 99, the world did change and I was able to get a job, a part-time job. So I worked in the corner of Poly, the old Poly, where there was a learning center on the corner. If any of you were here, it's a little learning center. We had, study hall and things in there. And I was like the proctor, and I sat there and answered the phones and hung out. But that was the way for me to earn income. So I think that with this new NIL opportunity for student athletes to sell their name, image, and likeness, to be paid, to be able to talk to companies and market themselves and work outside of athletics is a really good opportunity. And those who are not on the full scholarships have a way to supplement that the scholarship money to pay their tuition and things like that. So I think it's a really incredible opportunity for them to sell their not only their clothes, but their personalities, and for people to say, oh, this is college sports, it's really cool. I get to see them on posters now. I get to see them, not only on campus, but in routes, in the store, at Lululemon, right? All these places where they sign on. So it's a really fun, I think, opportunity for them. And I see online on Instagram, and they're like, hey, open for business, right? So they're like, market me, and they get to do these cool ads. So I think it's really fun for them. I think it's an opportunity for them to not only do the obvious things, but also learn about business and about representing yourself and taxes and all the things that come along with NIL. So I just think it's a remarkable opportunity for them to display not only their athletic abilities, but also their personalities.
That's awesome. Thank you. Sorry, I'll stand farther. No? I'll just be really loud.
You need an NIL deal for Akari.
She's also been trying to get the microphone.
Yeah, that's the one that's off. She can hold it.
It's okay. As a head coach, how involved are you in your athletes' activities, and do you have any examples of activities or fields that you love to see?
I think the world is just slightly changing now where we can be more involved, so that's what I'm looking forward to, the opportunity to have conversations with different companies about athletes and what they can do. So far, I'm more of a fan, and I kind of watch what they do and like their posts. And I don't even know yet if we're allowed to repost. All I know is before we couldn't repost anything. We just like it, and we just say like it and move on. But I definitely support all of them. With track and field, we have so many different athletes. We have 2 totally different genders. We have men and women's team. We have cross country, distance, long jump, like jumps, throws, sprints. And so for our team, there's such a plethora of different athletes that are all marketable in their own different ways, different sizes, shapes, and colors. So I think I'm in a unique opportunity to be able to support, 78, 80 of them, all different unique personalities, and just the diversity of track and field makes it such a plethora of opportunities for these athletes to get NIL deals. So for me, I'm all about the support and following whatever rule they say. When I can make deals, I'll make deals. When I have to just stand by and wave, I'll stand by and wave.
I would like to share, maybe in a second, but one of the coolest things we got to be a part of was I had a student athlete on my team who actually signed a major brand deal with Nike. So she was the first college athlete to sign with Nike. She was in a Nike commercial, and for us to just be kind of on the forefront, it was a way for women's soccer to gain a lot of notoriety, and so that was just a really, really cool experience. But what I love also about the opportunities that UCLA has provided and fostered is a lot of them have to do with things that are important to our players. So for instance, within that Nike deal, it wasn't just about brand promotion. There was also a piece in there that was about community service. And so a lot of the appearances that she did were linked back to the community and providing opportunities for soccer players kind of in the greater LA area. So those are the things that I think as a head coach I'm really proud of. And then also it's just fun to see our players kind of in a different realm. And so many of them, like Joanna, like Coach Hayes was alluding to, like they have incredible personalities, they have incredible stories, and the NIL space is really just an opportunity for the community to get to know them in a different light. So one of our proudest moments, we just had 2 players do a photo shoot for a company and nonprofit called Voice in Sport, which is all about empowering young women, kind of bridging the gap that young women face when it comes to staying in sport, whether it's with mental health or whatever it could be. And so they were featured on their website in some of their apparel, and it was so cool for them to not just have that opportunity, but also do it in a way that supports an organization that really means something to them. Good job, Mom. Mom power.
Talk about doing it all. So for the fans and the supporters in the room, what are some ways that Bruins can actually support your programs or support student athletes these days with their NIL opportunities?
Sure. I think one way I think definitely is to come out to the events that they compete in, whatever sport that they're in. Come out, support, cheer, let them know you're there. Reach out, like their posts, repost the things that they're posting. Whether if you're a company or you have an opportunity to make a deal with them, fantastic. Reach out to them and have those conversations with them. Call, UCLA, ask for the representatives, and how can you have deals with our student athletes. And I think if you don't have the means to be a sponsor or support NIL deal, just again repost their things, talk to your friends, talk to the businesses, the companies say, hey, there's some great athletes at UCLA, would love, you can sign on with them and NIL deals. It can be $100, it can be $100,000, right? Just a start. Just give them some love, show them that the community supports them, that the UCLA community supports them, the city of Los Angeles, whatever it is, then let them know that, hey, what you're doing is not for nothing, that we have your back, and the harder you work, the more you're going to earn, the more you're going to do. But again, it's really just about showing that support. I love to look up and see people in the stands. I know Marguerite, Coach Marguerite, we do that, but love to see people come support the soccer players, the basketball, track and field, swimming, any sport that we have. Just come out, because the more people that show interest, that buy the tickets, that post that they're at the events, the more the outside world, the community outside of UCLA will see, wow, UCLA has a lot to offer, and we want to be part of that. So a lot of it is just being present and showing people what we have to offer, and just being supportive of our student athletes. They really, really work very hard on and off the field of play. So any support that you guys can give is always welcome.
Yeah, as Coach Hayes was speaking, the things that came to my mind, the number one thing was just exposure. Like NIL obviously kind of rides on exposure, and I think our players know that their performance comes first, and what UCLA can provide is an amazing platform. And so however we can grow that platform, I think is beneficial. The second piece is, of course, that support. So showing them the reposting, the liking, that kind of thing. And then the last piece is just education. I think people in the area, they're not always aware of what NIL means. When we think of NIL, I think sometimes it has a bad rap, and it has this idea of we're just writing a check for athletes. We're just providing for a collective. When I think UCLA, especially with our sports, has taken a totally different approach, where it's about providing opportunities. And so whatever you can do to help spread the word about what a wonderful thing NIL can be, how it really promotes student athletes, and beyond just exposing their performance, it also helps them prepare for kind of their next steps in life. So when it comes to paying taxes, when it comes to understanding a pay stub, all of those types of things I think are hugely important, and that's something that NIL can provide. So whatever you can do in terms of promotion, whatever you can do in terms of support, and then of course that education piece, just to spread the word on what a great job that UCLA is doing in providing the NIL opportunities for our athletes.
Thank you. So one more question before I let the crowd chime in. Both of you were student athletes in college, obviously, hugely successful, and I'm curious about how you think having NIL opportunities in college would have changed your experience, what that would have meant to you, and maybe if you have a dream opportunity that you would have liked to see while you were there. Just if you could go back in time, what would you do?
I can go.
Closer to your time, I think.
Yeah, I will say this. I was a soccer player, and I was not the flashy one. I scored, I think, 5 goals my entire career. Once I was called the good personality of soccer, which is not probably the best for NIL, but I would have loved just the opportunity to have that. And I did have a couple of my teammates that would have greatly benefited from NIL opportunities, especially in a sport. I went to a school that is a private school. The tuition is pretty up there, and I think the opportunity to help support some of the families that my team had would have been hugely, hugely beneficial. My dream NIL deal, probably in that time, we had this amazing place called Stuffed Pizza that was only in our area, and pretty much every athlete had an NIL deal because we would go on Tuesdays for all you can eat, but that would have been my dream for sure at that time, and if not that, then something probably apparel related. We can all dream big for Nike, but at the time my school was Under Armour, so maybe not.
Yeah, I think having an NIL deal in school definitely would have helped, right? Supplement the income. You get a stipend check, and yes, the couple student athletes that I'm looking at, my stipend check was $746. So just imagine, $746 is what I had to pay rent and eat and pay the bills at my apartment and all those things. So certainly would have been lovely just to have a little bit of extra support to just get, go out to dinner sometimes, hang out, go to, with your friends and, do all those things and get some extra clothes. I think it specifically would have helped being if you're low income and your parents don't have that extra money to say, oh, well, we saved money on college, so you have all this extra money. You were going to college if you didn't get a scholarship, right? So I think it was a grind, and I wouldn't change it because that's what helped me become who I am, and that's, I think, what also helped open the doors for student athletes now to have these NIL opportunities, the work that we put in and the things that we showed and how hard it was for us. So I think that I appreciate being in the school here, learning all I learned, grinding, doing it the hard way, so that, one, I can explain how it was. We say back in the day, when we had to walk to school, 8 miles to school, but all those stories, but to really explain to student athletes, look, these are the benefits that you do have, and take advantage of them, but understand that nothing's for free, right? Understand that, yes, sign these deals, work hard, show your personality, get paid for your work, but understand that nothing is for free, so understand that you have to learn how to be an adult, pay the taxes, market yourself and brand yourself, which means don't go do dumb stuff, right? Everyone, now that you have these deals, people are watching you, and I think that is a great part of it, that you're looking okay, it's not a secret anymore. If I do this sponsor, this company that I signed on with, they're gonna take their money back, right? So I think it is a great opportunity for them to learn how to become an adult. So I think it makes sense. And so for me, I think my dream would have been, we were Reebok, so definitely still wore Nikes, but I think it would have been a Nike deal because all I really wanted to do was be a professional track athlete, right? So if I had the opportunity to have a Nike sponsorship, to get extra Nike clothes, that's all I really would have wanted. A bunch of Nike shoes and some cute gear, right? That would have made my day. So Nike would have been definitely a dream NIL deal for me. But overall, I just think that time has shown that the world is changing and that we have to adapt with it, and that these kids, they do work really hard, and they have shown that, for the most part, that they can be responsible. So if you're going to class and you're going to practice and you're showing up for your teammates, why not have a little bonus? Why not be on a magazine cover? Why not be able to, smile and do these photo shoots and get some gear, some extra money in your pocket to be able to afford the things that you work so hard for? So, yeah, I love the opportunity that they have, and I am appreciative of it, and I'm hoping that my student athletes and all the student athletes here at UCLA understand what an honor it is for them to actually be able to do these things and to be paid for them, because it is not easy, but I'm really proud of my student athletes, and I'm really hoping that they get a lot of NIL deals, and that this store works out, and that they really can show really who they are on and off the field.
So thank you so much. I want to leave a few minutes for our lovely friends from the media to ask questions, or any of our guests here. I can walk the mic back and forth, but anybody have a question? Yeah, over here? I had a feeling you guys might. Here we go. We'll just work our way this way.
Hi, Tracy McDonald. I cover UCLA athletics for Rivals. Just, obviously there's a lot in the news right now with the rev share and all that, and I know roster limits have been a big thing. What have you, told your athletes about that? Have they had any questions about it? And just what do you think about the idea of rev share being possible, and also what have the conversations with Mark Jarman been like as far as making sure there's some equity between men's sports and women's sports?
I know it's a lot.
I'll walk slow so you have a second. No, I can briefly say, sir, because the House ruling has not been finalized yet, it's not official, we do have to wait. So what I have told my student athletes is that as we find out information that we're able to share, we will update them. So in the meantime, we're just kind of waiting. I think, UCLA and all different universities across the country are waiting for the official go-ahead, and then they'll make the decisions that they feel are best for all the student athletes at UCLA.
I think to second that, again, we don't want to speak out of turn. Obviously, even today, there was a lot of movement happening with the House settlement, so we want to be conscious of that. But I know as Olympic sports, obviously I coach a women's sport, but what we felt from the very beginning is I think UCLA is well prepared to make sure that we remain competitive, and of course to make sure that we feel supported. I think that's been really clear from the start.
Harvey Jones with LA Sentinel. I just want to talk about the opportunity that the student athletes have here, and UCLA to take advantage of NIL. You guys have the fresh press machine, and pretty much everything is set up here. Can you talk about how important it is to take advantage of this opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I think that, like I said earlier, we didn't have the opportunity. I think that it's right here in front of them. It's simple. This is the coolest thing I've seen. I just learned about it. I'm like, this is super cool. I want to get t-shirts of, my student athletes. I think that is really awesome. But I think that with our collective that we have, Champions of Westwood for our Olympic sports, I think that the more support we get there, the more we can also give to our student athletes as well as Olympic sports. As Coach said, it's not easy for us. It's different. It's a different world than, for us than football and basketball. So the more opportunities that our student athletes can take, I think they must. I don't think it's really a question of should I. You do need to, because it's there for you. It's not super complicated, but again, it's a learning opportunity, it's an exposure opportunity, and so I think it's extremely important that they take advantage of all the opportunities that are set in front of them.
Yeah, and I think just to paint a picture of how the landscape has changed. I remember when I was in college, Instagram just came out. It was such a wild thing. And I remember we were out to breakfast as a team, and I think at IHOP or something. And I remember having to take pictures down because the mugs in the picture said IHOP. And so we weren't allowed, that was considered a promotion. And that's just how much things have changed. I'm not that old, but I am old enough to remember the dawn of Instagram. So I think now to look at it, beyond anything else, NIL opens doors to use your name, image, and likeness as a platform, and to use what we provide at UCLA, an opportunity to perform at a high level, an opportunity to compete, all of these things. Now it allows our players to take advantage of that and kind of do that while they can. And so I think it's a huge opportunity. But what I also like about NIL is our student athletes get to choose whether or not they partake, and I think that's really important too. It's not something forced on them. For those that have the interest, it's there. We have a lot of support, we have a lot of avenues for that. But for others that aren't as interested, it's not something that they have to participate in actively. And I actually really like that it's a choice for them.